What's up, Pokemon trading card game fans, and welcome to another episode of Special Conditions, the podcast where competing and collecting collide. Today is Wednesday, June 25th. I'm not Adam. I'm Justin Keller, and I'm joined with my co-host, Good Morning Johto Lane. How's it going?
And I'm not Justin. Yeah, it's going great. I can't wait for the new set coming out. Destin Rivals is finally kind of settling down, so a bunch of Pokemon stuff going on.
The ice cream. They're having them working overtime now that the
going on. Know if New Hampshire had warm weather.
Well, okay, for them when it breaks 75, they're like sweating to death up there.
I told you we're in record heats here in Ohio, over 100, and that's for us, that's crazy.
Just to think, well, that's probably crazy for the people of Johto.
Yeah, and that's always the way I've always had it. And then for working at the store, so that's what I always brought on. I do Good Morning Johto every Monday through Friday, but also during those days, I work as I don't know ever what to say. Because when I tell people that don't know anything about the hobby, I say comic store. Do we sell comics? Very, very little. But if I say a card store or something, you know what I mean? They're like, you gamble? Well, yeah. Kinda. But that's what I never know. So yeah, I help assistant manages. We've been around forever, this card store. So I never get to play in paper because I run the events. Pass out the promos, do all the stuff.
Well, and kind of crummy, so,
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. We can definitely do that. So here's the thing I've done before is I make the calendar schedule for events. So if I want to play, I'll add another day. So if I'm okay, there's a day I'm off that I want to play. I've done this with other games, and I'm doing it currently. I just be okay, we're now having 2 days because there's been players asking. The player was me, and I get to make the schedule. So not canceling the one you're on now. We're just adding another day.
So today's show, we're talking about the 2026 rule changes. There's a couple tweaks and, some interesting ones. We're going to get Lane's opinion on it.
Do these go into effect after Worlds?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we're also going to talk about the new black and white cards for the upcoming mega set that's coming out. And then Lane's going to Collecticon. I don't remember which one.
Yes. Cleveland.
The Ohio Cleveland Collecticon.
The one they say is going to be the worst one.
Is it the first one?
No, it's because it's not a big city. So the owner of the business went to other ones to kind of map out. But the guests are still great. I think we're going to do insanely incredible at it. There's no doubt in my mind that we're not going to do well.
And then whatever Lane wants to talk about. He always has something to talk about.
There's always random stuff.
Okay, so let's talk about the hot goss, which is the 2026 rules. Series has some new rules. They are adjusting these Swiss tournament rounds. They say, after analyzing data from the 2025 season and taking trainer feedback into consideration, the Swiss format used for TCG and video game series championships, as well as the international and the worlds, will undergo a variety of changes. All age divisions at these tournaments, if they have at least 65 participants, will have one additional round of Swiss pairings. The additional round will make it more likely that trainers with records of X2 or better, such as 7 and 2, for example, will reach asymmetrical top 8. This additional Swiss round will also improve tournament experience as competitors vie for top cut placements and cash prizes in the final matches of Swiss Phase 2. For most age divisions, Swiss Phase 1 will feature 8 Swiss tournament rounds, with rounds scheduled to either conclude on day 1 or continue into day 2 of a tournament, as provided by the tournament organizer, compared to 32 from the previous season. Regardless of the number of competitors tied with the 8th place competitor, tournament results and community.
Yeah. I think there's some reasons, but I'll go after you're done. Or when, because I see some of the things they're opening kind of rooms for error or problems, honestly.
Yeah. The one that's got all the people talking, though, is the +3 turns is now +1 turn.
Yeah.
There's many reasons for this, but I've heard many complaints about how long between rounds are going. Because, some people finish early,
Yes.
some people finish on time, but it really...
Yeah.
Their turn, and the next person has their turn, and then you're done. For a maximum overtime clock of 10 minutes.
There we go. That's what I was waiting on.
Yeah, so hopefully that's actually like...
Oh, I got news for you. Keep going. I got some stuff.
Let's see. Grand challenges and global challenges now provide separate rewards per rating zone to promote more opportunities to earn CP in smaller rating zones. And more championship points have been allocated to 9th through... Oh. Pokemon Go competitors will now have more opportunities to earn a travel stipend in the 2026 season. Huh. Had you heard that, Lane?
All 10 of them. All 10 people that plays every...
The number of available travel awards has doubled from 4 to 8, with competitors ranked 5th to 8th on the Go leaderboard during a specific qualification period, being able to earn a $1,000 travel stipend. It's big in the TCG community. There's just a lot of them. And I think that I don't know how many stipends to give out for TCG, if it's 16, 32.
I know when it's outside the U.S. is when it was huge, right? That's
Yeah.
the ones where you're like, man, I really need to get this.
If you earn 200 championship points, you can get a special card. They talk about Unite updates. They released the new schedule for the season calendar. So obviously Worlds coming up in August. I have a ticket to Sunday as a spectator. I haven't decided if I'm going yet because I'm going to Europe 2 days after that. So I'm like...
You travel a crazy amount. I feel like I also, but you travel more than me.
You know what's funny is I'm going to be in Frankfurt in September. I'm just leaving September 1st. So if only I was there 2 weeks later and could be in this regional championship, that would be sick. So yeah, September in Frankfurt, Germany. Also September, Monterrey, Mexico. September 19th through 21st in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. October 10th through 12th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 11th through 12th in Brazil. October 25th through 26th in Lille, France. November 1st to 2nd in Gdansk, Poland. November 14th through 16th in Las Vegas. November 15th and 16th in Buenos Aires, Argentina. November 29th and 30th in Germany, so another Germany one. November 24th and 25th in Merida, Mexico. January 24th and 25th in Birmingham, UK. Also that weekend in Auckland, New Zealand. This is the first I've heard of one going to New Zealand, which I think is cool, honestly. February 7th and 8th in Santiago, Chile. February 13th and 15th in London, UK. That's EUIC. March 28th and 29th in Seville, Spain. April 4th and 5th in Querétaro, Mexico.
Sure.
There's May 16th and 17th in Utrecht, Netherlands. May 23rd in Lima, Peru. And NAIC is in New Orleans again on June 12th to 14th.
Still mad about that.
Mad because...
It was an hour and a half from me for 5 years.
And did you go?
And then I went the last one, and it was incredible. And why I'm mad, and I remember having a talk with some of the... It wasn't... Oh, gosh. It was whatever Zach Lesage's team is. I always forget. And I was talking to him and his wife.
Shuffle Squad.
Shuffle Squad. Yeah. Had friends of my show, so close I forget their names. I was talking to them, I'm like, man, they wanted one in Canada. Have they done an NAIC in Canada?
I don't think they've done NAIC in Canada.
Right?
They've done regionals in Canada, but never NAIC.
Fan. Well, why I got with Columbus...
I shouldn't say never. It's just not one that I know about.
Yeah. This is where the historian Adam would say, all right, in 2010... when
yes, I feel like it was in Columbus, Ohio, right?
Yeah, and so if you look up in a majority of places, there's two on the East Coast, which are like the number one convention centers. Columbus is one, and Richmond, Virginia is one.
Mm.
And Columbus is one also because of the big convention center. And you don't have to leave outside the building. You get a market, like a food court, and there's a food market that's close, that's huge. And then there's even a local card and comic store. There's a grocery store. There's the hotel. There's everything. And you don't have to leave the building of the convention center. So you stay in the hotel, and just by staying in that hotel, you can walk back and forth. And they moved it for space reasons, but they weren't even using the full convention center.
Mm.
Is the last year I was there. I'm like, you guys still have triple the space you can use. And for me, the spectator pass sold out. So I had to like know someone there, and they were like, "Hey, I'll give you a pass. I'm going to go to lunch." Okay, cool. And then they
Oh,
gave me
nice.
their.
Hmm.
I didn't know spectator passes could sell out.
They didn't used to, but in
Yeah,
the past few years.
that was the last year they did it in 2023. I had to book my Pokemon Center reservation 3 weeks ahead, and they sold out that 3 weeks ahead. They make a random post there. And then there was
Yeah.
people who were like, "Hey, why can't I just go in there?" Like, "Hey, sorry, man." So people were like wanting to buy spots, and I found just one guy. I'm like, "Hey, man, you can have our extra one." And they were like, "Oh my goodness." And they would have you went to a nationals before? Have you went
I
to?
haven't. Every time we have it, either A, I don't have the budget to travel, or
Yeah,
B, it's during Go Fest that I've already
yeah, like a
committed to
time.
going to. So I'm like, I.
We're in line. They kind of do it like how we did at GoFest, like X amount of people can be at once, but they restock it every time. So they'll restock the NAIC playmats and stuff, and you just see a mad sprint of these grown adults. And I'm just looking around. I bought that Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
I love. There's a couple I like, but I'm like, I got a mug somewhere like from
Hmm.
that. But yeah, miss it being Columbus. That's my
Mm.
big thing. Miss it in Columbus.
Okay, now let's go back to the rules. You had
Yes,
some
there's some
things
things I
about the
wanted to go back.
rules.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about?
So with me as a TO, there's some open-ended things here that they're really leaving towards, and that's why they are like, they kind of say something like, "Hey, this could change." You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
if we hate this. So you brought about time. Pokemon is, as far as I know, out of the big games, the fastest in big tournaments like regionals and stuff
Mm.
like that.
In what regard? Like
In
50
time because of
minutes or what?
for round base, so the tournament itself,
Hmm.
like when you can do 12 rounds, right? So where other games, there are games. So I'll talk about the mostly like Japanese Bandai games, and we'll talk about Magic the Gathering as well. They do Magic's 50-minute rounds with it's 5 turns when time hits. So like
Mm.
one, we each get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They start on turn 0, and there's no time limit. So sometimes that can be a half an hour. And when you're playing with 2,000 people, so each round is like an hour and a half.
Hmm.
So I did a $10,000 tournament, and it could have probably went 13, 14 rounds on day one. Remember, no lunch. Pokemon's the only one that does lunch.
That's so nice. I granted the last regional I went to, I ate barbecue for lunch and that was a mistake. So not doing that again, but
Mine's always like granola bars and something to
yeah.
like push through protein, whatever. That was a big one. So they do that, and then the other game, Magic still has day two, like because it talks about so top 65. Who day two's in this? If they say they cut to top, is there a top cut of like 16, 18 is what they said?
Oh, for no, so it's just
Cut
your
to 16
points.
from 32.
That's for top cut.
So
That's
what
not
that
day two.
that's not day two.
Day two is still the match points. So like
Gotcha.
7-2 or what is it? 6-0-3.
Yeah, I can never remember the draws. Like if we're doing point based, right? It's
Yeah,
always
it's point based. It's like it's 19 points.
so where you're going to come into is where the problem's going to lie that they got to kind of not figure out. They just got to see if it works.
Hmm.
Because there's nothing worse as a player because hey, let me know, I hear it. And that's what because of getting that top like where it all comes down to breakers,
Hmm.
right? It that as a player to me and as a like explaining to a child, "Hey, you got the same record as this other kid." but I have to explain opponent match win percentage, opponent get. You know what I mean?
Opponents.
Yeah, like this, to him,
Yeah, yeah.
and the kid is just like, what? But we had the same record, and the way I always explained it was, well, if you played against LeBron James and I played against an infant in basketball, which one is weighed more? Like if we each scored 20 points, but you know what I mean? Kind of
Yeah.
like it still feels
You're
bad.
rewarding
Almost.
the people who did well against other good players instead of if they got lucky
Correct.
and just went against a bunch of not so skilled, probably new players.
And with Top Cut being now with best of 3, there should be less variables. There's not going to be ties, right? On because we do have that of like because of best of 1, when there's 3 rounds, there's some people that may have the exact same opponent match.
Well, now there's still ties.
Well, I'm saying with the not just draws, I'm saying ties in the when you cut to breakers. Like when you breaker ties of you and I both had the same amount of opponent win, we both had the same percentage of everything. So doing the best of 3 is what adds to that. The timer. Is this the first you've heard of the timer or
As far as I know,
huge thing? Big thing in Japan.
It's never been timed before.
Big thing in Japan is like I said with these other games, you can just for Magic, we can go another half an hour because like you said, once that timer is called, you can kind of take a breath. You can kind of not slow play, but you're rushing before time hits. And Japanese games, more Bandai games and everything, has made it more common to add in these timers. And I had an opponent one time that we had 5 minutes, and I will say by accident he took the whole 5 minutes. And I think in Pokemon you can do that too. Like if I'm Ultra Ball, if I'm tutor, like if I'm spinning my wheel.
As long as you're now a
game state
judge can call you for slow play, but it's tough, right? It's not like it's very.
You're talking to a.
Yeah.
I know it's intent. How do you prove intent of cheating? And for this though, where there's so many tutor, and when I say tutors, I mean way to search your deck in Pokemon. You can kind of not stall, but kind of I call it spinning the wheel is what we call it.
You can draw things out for a tie more often.
Yes.
Instead of losing.
And what you're doing is with Pokemon and Magic and every game that I've ever TO'd, it's slow play is if you're not extending the board, right? Not me just like going through my deck when I search or going, even though that may not be the play to win, that may be the play to eat up this 10-minute timer. And that's things I think we're gonna.
So you're saying, and like if someone uses the stadium to search, they get nothing. They then use an Arvin to search. They also get nothing because there's no eligible cards. Would you then consider slow play on that part because it's, they knowingly did multiple things and came back with nothing?
So the big thing there is with game state changes, they can search their deck and honestly go through and be like, yep, there's nothing. And then when they cast Arvin, you can't stop the play of Arvin, right? And this is the question you're asking is so good, is if I hit this stadium and I know there's no target, right? Like, am I still allowed to look through?
Yeah, I would say.
Right? That's the resolution of the card.
I would think, it's eligible to play the card. You can do it, but you might just get some funny looks if you go through and search and you still come back with nothing.
Yeah, so that's usually like if you continue to play cards, right? It's with the game state change. That's what takes the time. That's what takes the extra stuff. And with Pokemon, I think it's a little like there's no energies really moved around. Like you have the attack, so you're just trying to like not fiddle with your hand. But I know people that rope in real life that will count to about 45 whatever seconds to try to push that limit timer. And they see it as a strategy, which I just see it as dumb. But like if I'm sitting there just counting in my head, just play the game, man.
Yeah.
Just whoever you are. So I think with this, we will see longer tournaments.
I mean, theoretically, it's cutting down in time because, that could be, 30 minutes of +3 turns And now it's only 10 minutes
Sure.
of +1.
Well, do you like the best of 3 change from the best of 1?
If only because I don't like not having 3 turns. That kind of sucks.
Sure.
Because, winning a best of 3 is already so hard. But if that means the overall tournament is going to be faster and there's going to be less sitting around and waiting for nothing, then I'm okay with it. You take your notes, you figure out how to adjust your gameplay, and you move forward.
It's really good when you still get that 10-minute win, and then you have like 40 minutes, whatever, to kill.
Yeah.
And with this, when I said this as preparation, where most with best of 3 include a sideboard. Are you familiar with a sideboard or an extra deck?
Yeah, so I never played Magic Standard, but I am familiar with. So sideboard is like 15 extra cards, right? That you would have in a separate deck that you could slot in to your deck. I don't know when you would do this. Are you doing this during a best of
After
3
game
match?
one. After game
one.
Yep.
Could you theoretically do it after game 2?
Yes. So, and you do. Okay. All right, Justin. That was a pro move you just asked right there. So, why I think most of the games that do it, why Pokemon I think does it, is, of course, like we've seen I just drew a Pheasantipity as my basic. Didn't matter what happened. My best of 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I just got dumped on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so you're adding with best of 3. You're taking that variable away of you're adding more games, more time, and most people don't complain about playing more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so with that, but with Magic and so Digimon tried it, they got rid of it. They kept the best of 3 in their higher level. And I think Pokemon did this in most. That best of 3 was only when they did Top Cut, right?
When? Are you talking
The
about?
last season, like
No,
isn't it like
it's always
when
best of 3.
in Top Cut, right?
No, it's always best of 3 for everything.
And regular Swiss as well.
Yeah.
We're just including the top.
Yeah. Locals is predominantly best of
Best of
1
1.
because best of 3 is so hard, and it's hard to get casuals to come out and play best of 3.
Yeah, and then so this is news to me because I've only ever played digital for 10 years in locals.
Yeah.
So you had best of 3 in 30 minutes?
50. It was still 50 minutes.
Okay, so this is just a full. Okay, got it now.
Yeah.
So the extra deck part was one that if I'm playing against what's something like Dragapult or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know how each deck has an X amount of slots that you're playing, like Mewtwo, Pheasantipity, like just toolbox slots.
Yeah. Yep.
So your extra deck would have more of those.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have probably 3 more copies of Mewtwo, and then what's the other ones of like ones that stop certain matchups? Like there was the last stadium that stopped like special energies.
Like what is that, Jamming Tower?
That was one before.
Mm.
And then there was a newer one that did basically that. So your extra deck would have 4 of those.
Mm.
So that when I'm going into game 2, I can side in all of those cards and take out the ones that are bad in that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm like a grass deck and I'm wanting to switch into maybe make my weakness better or something, that's what that extra deck would be.
That would be wild if
It's
Pokemon
awesome.
switched to that. And I think it would be cool. It would be really tough. There's no way it would happen though in the 50-minute time limit, and we're already strapped for time.
Magic does it 50 minutes.
I don't know how Magic does it.
Because it's easier than what you think, right? So if you
Yeah.
have 15 cards and I do like 3 more Mewtwo, and I massacre that Pokemon's name every time. 4 special
Badoo.
stadium, Badoo, Beauty, yeah, Charles. 4 the stadium, you know what I mean? Like, so your extra deck may be only 4 cards, and you know what cards may be bad in that matchup. That you're like, okay, I know I'm not getting to this. That you're cutting those cards. And then you made the super correct thing to say, hey, can I take them out after game 2? And there are some decks that you want the cards on the draw and not the play.
Interesting.
Exactly. That's a big brain move of like a higher skill level of, well, this card that I brought in, I can't play until my opponent already attacked or I already, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that out because now it's no longer viable. That's the extra big brain. But all the other games are still just 30-minute best of 1.
Well, it sounds like we have to invent our own play style where it's just Pokemon with sideboard.
Can I tell you what Bandai does for time? I think I've said this on our Monday night Zooms, but I don't know if.
Maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
So with One Piece and all Digimon, these other games, Digimon's the one I forget. I think they still do the turns, but One Piece and the other games that they're love child. When time hits, they do okay. We're checking prizes, we're checking deck size, we're checking hands, we're checking everything. There's no extra time. There's no extra turns.
Oh, interesting.
So
Is it
it comes
like
down.
points or is it subjective?
It's like prizes
Okay.
as. So I said this before. I really like the One Piece system just a tad better than Pokemon because in Pokemon, if I'm ahead, I'm getting more card advantage.
Hmm.
Where One Piece is, if I'm behind, I'm getting that card advantage.
Interesting.
So when you hit me, I take the prize. In One Piece, it's whoever has more prizes gets in time.
Hmm.
All right. Let me tell you about Union Arenas really quick. Time is called. We have the same amount of life, deck. One Piece would say that's a draw. Union Arena says, nah, we're paying rock, paper, scissors.
Like actually.
Yeah.
So like there'll be a winner and a loser.
Yes.
Nice. Honestly,
I
good
said, I
for
want a
them.
10K. I want a nationals to happen. You and I are in the finals. Time. And then we have to warm up our fists to like
Yeah.
in this card
One, two,
game.
three.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that wild?
That is pretty wild.
Unofficial rules.
Yeah. Well, some people say that ties don't even matter. So
You get 1 point. You don't
yeah.
get zero like a loss.
No, yeah. It depends on who you talk to, right? So just if you
Whatever
tie,
gets me more points on that bracket, that's what I care about.
yeah. Okay. Any last thoughts there? Or shall we go to break and come back and
No.
talk about the new cards?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to break. We'll come back right after this. All right, and welcome back. So, going to run through some housekeeping real quick. This episode of Special Conditions Podcast is brought to you by the Grading Authority. TGA offers an innovative card grading experience with a focus on collectors and community. Visit tgacards.com to learn more, and be sure to check out their slab designer and Pokemon Flow labels to see for yourself what makes the Pokemon Professor Network proud to be a TGA partner. Use code FULLHEAL, no spaces, at checkout for 10% off your total order. Thank you to the Grading Authority for supporting the Special Conditions podcast. Speaking of which, I have one from my that I've just been sitting on and haven't done the peeled reveal on. Let's see here. We've got a Giratina.
Ooh,
All right, Lane. I'm gonna hold this up. Reflect the light. I can flip it around to the back.
man, borders look great.
Here's the back.
The top right, maybe like, man, a little. I don't know. I think it's a 10.
All right. This is
Looks
one
like
that
a
I
10
had
to me.
graded in person at the show I saw Adam at in March. All right. And we got the flow label. And we got
Yeah.
the 10. We got the 10. Insert the wow voice.
It's so good.
And it's such a fun, like, art design.
I just love the set amount of
Yeah.
hits with everything, like all that,
And
like that.
yes.
There's so many cool stuff in it.
And so I knew when I did the walk up, then he did the raw grade right there, that it was going to get a 10. So,
You do like a guess, like, hey, we believe. It
so
could
no,
get.
they grade it right then.
Oh, okay.
And then they take it back to their place and slab it up and then ship it out to you. So it just happened to
Yeah.
be that they were doing the same show that I helped Adam out on. So I was like, okay, here we go. Walk it in. I want to say it was like $8 to raw grade and then like another 10 to $12 to encapsulate it after the raw grade. So
Is that including shipping as well?
in this case, Adam shipped it to me. I think shipping is separate.
I was going to say
Or
because
actually, maybe it does include shipping.
there's a big. I've always said this. TGA has to do something different, and GameStop grade now is almost $30 per card for PSA.
That's so crazy.
When they started in like March or February, January, when I started, 15. Now it's 25 plus 5 shipping, even for pro members. So hey, with the TGA keeping up with those prices, like that's the stuff.
That's the stuff. All right. We also want to recognize some of our patrons. Huge thanks to our gym leaders, Ben, Brandy, Espion Willow, Herbert, Kyle, and Maddie G. And special thanks to the executive producers on the network. Our personal executive producer, Tish Smith. What a pro.
Woo!
As well as others on the network, Monkey Bread, Kate the Cons, and Lazo Boss. And a huge thanks to our elite trainer, Mystic.
Woo! We love you.
All right. Enough of that. On to the black and white set.
Do you like black and white, like the games?
You know, that's like one of those kind of gray areas for me where I didn't play the games. My experience with black and white was through Pokemon Go.
Yes.
Oh,
I've never been able to finish the games.
This is the mega sets.
My wife got it for me the first when we were dating, and I still have it probably sealed somewhere. Like I know where it is because I remember getting another copy, and I just didn't like it. That's a hot take. People love that game.
So yes, this article is from PokeBeach.com, and they're talking about all the Black Bolt and White Flare cards that you can get. The two main ones from the set, the Reshiram and the Zekrom, are incredible. The all white and the all black are just stunning.
Even the energy.
Oh man, I didn't even notice that. That's a reverse. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, I like
that reminds me of like those metal cards they did back in the day for like Lugia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
these
so
are going to
good.
be $1 billion. That's all I think about. Is like, man, these are going to be a lot.
Yeah, I'm less disappointed that I missed out on the Rocket set. I'll still buy some Rocket singles. I just haven't bought any of the current set yet.
Yeah.
All right. It ranks some of the secret rares in terms of dollars. The top runs Zekrom and Reshiram EX over $300. The Zekrom and Reshiram, the SIR instead of the all black and white ones, are about half that price, $163. Then Hilda's and Plot, Hydreion EX, it keeps going down. But let's look at some of these. Like this Victini with the Master Ball. Oh, it's so cute. Victini's got the little peace sign.
Love it. The prismatic ones we sell like a lot of, which I don't see it for me because I think it's like our people wanting to master set and stuff. But the multiplier and like how often you pull them are crazy. Now that I like. All SIRs and IRs I'm a giant fan of.
Victini's so cute. It's sitting on top of a hill overlooking the water, and it's like peeking back. It's got like the that goofy look on its face. It's a sunset, and it's pretty incredible.
And there's going to be like 140, 50 of these, right?
I think there's one for like every Pokemon.
Everyone from Black and White.
There's another Zoroark, which I thought we had enough Zoroark after the end. It's like ghostly floating all the silverware and plates in front of a fancy dining table.
Yeah.
Seismitoad. It's got like that, what do you call that? Like a paisley pattern?
Sure.
I like it. Yeah. So much colors.
Victini's the big winner, though.
Can't play any item cards or tool cards from their hand.
Yeah.
What
does the attack do?
What does the attack do? Power Press, 80 plus. This Pokemon has at least 2 extra energy attached. This attack does 80 more damage. So you have to have 4 energy to do 160. So it doesn't really matter. Man, they just want Gardevoir to be good forever.
We heard you like this thing, but we didn't talk about it too, that these are going to be separate sets, right? Like
Oh,
this is the big
yes. That
confirmed.
was at a different article.
That was super close. It was posted on May 6th. If you go, yeah, so basically it talks about the product release dates, but then they're doing this thing they've never done before, which is this kind of Pocket does, where it's two separate sets on the same release and they're coinciding with each other. And yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Ah. Yes. I think you're correct.
Evolving Sky and stuff like that. We've had separate art. Tempora Forces even had different promos.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was one they did because I think that was the Iron Bundle, and then they did Fluttermane in one of those, or Paradox Rift in one of those.
You know, they keep talking about getting us closer to Japan, and you know, it's proving to be true. We're getting closer and closer to Japan. I don't think we're gonna have the one booster box a month thing that they get, which is insane.
I was gonna bring that up later. I was gonna ask you about that. Do you like the? Well, we can do it now because we're talking about the products. Do you like the release schedule that you're on? Like we're on for Pokemon?
I do.
Me too.
Because, you know, meta for the card game instead of just like, you know, constantly adding things you constantly have to tweak for every month and constantly looking for new cards. That way you only have to look for the new cards or whatever, you know, kind of at one time. And then also, when they're booster boxes, you only get the one secret rare, and it's guaranteed, which is nice, but it's also like, okay, if you open that in your first pack, the rest of the cards are worthless. Now, they're not worthless, but it kind of feels that way, right?
Yeah, the amount of hits are now gone, and that's kind of the big deal is other games. So Magic, a full set like this is once every now month and a half to 2 months. One Piece is now 6 sets a year. Pokemon, are we on 4 or 5 sets a year?
So it's 4 main sets and then 1 to 2 mini sets. And sometimes those mini sets are not that many.
Because this is supposed to be a mini set, correct? This is our specialty set, no booster packs. This is just ETBs. And there's no single packs.
Okay, yes, you are correct. They do have booster bundles, though.
That's going to be my problem because I give out packs of regular thing, like of the newest set for our players for our leagues. So I may just have to put some bundles back and take out the bundles.
Yeah, so these are, you're correct. This is a special set. And sometimes they do small special sets. Think like Detective Pikachu that was like... Celebrations.
Go small.
But this will have each of the 156 Unova Pokemon.
Yeesh.
We'll have a regular card, Reverse Holo, and Pokeball Reverse Holo, and Master Ball Reverse Holo.
Golly.
As well as an illustration rare. So it will have 800 cards combined. Isn't that insane?
Set. because Justin, it's not a small, because it's 2 sets. So we got 2 sets. Like these are 2 sets.
It's absolutely bonkers. You know what I do appreciate is like they're bringing back the old black and white style holos. Have you seen these?
Yeah, those are awesome.
Like the horizontal lines. Yeah, it's just like it's such like a set period in time. Because I have only ever seen a few cards of these because I just wasn't collecting then.
I know. That's
Superior,
what I was looking at before.
Emperor. Oh, Oshawott, so cute. Look at him.
It may be harder to get even some of these cards just from pull rates if there's so many cards.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be selling their...
that Victini.
The Thundurus and Tornadus for like 50 cents.
I thought people liked them. I didn't know people dookied on them.
I don't think people like them. I think it's because they're just kind of weird looking. I think they like them in the game, but in the cards it's weird. But no, the Victini is pretty cool. The all red with the white fire energy.
So good.
It's so good.
An 800 card set. Can't wait.
And they're all going to be $800. No, I'm kidding.
These are going to be ones people are going to wait in line for. These specialty sets are the ones that people like. We still sell out. Like even with I put Journey out, but just because it's anything. Like Journey is not anything crazy right now.
Yeah.
But of course, when they get a whiff of prismatic, like they get that sniff.
Well, I mean, it's because there's several cards in there that are between the $500 mark and the $1,000 mark.
And these could be that way too.
I
Because of the pull rate, right? Like, or not, like, think of how many cards in it. And let's say 400 cards, and then I just want the Zekrom.
Yeah, so while there's a bunch of cool cards in here, there's no one Pokemon I can think of from 5th gen that people just go bananas for. You know, there's no Rayquaza, there's no Umbreon, there's no Mewtwo. I mean, Zekrom, Reshiram are cool, but it's not like...
That Victini, though. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're cool, and I'm going to be excited because I don't think they're going to be nearly as expensive as any of the cards from Prismatic or even from Team Rocket, for that matter, because it's so far removed from Gen 1.
Yeah.
It'll probably be similar to like a Shrouded Fable, whereas, you know, Shrouded Fable's newer. There'll still be nostalgia for this, considering it came out... When did Black and White come out?
Over what?
Over 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Maybe closer to 20.
Like, we have not that long. Video game. We have technology. It came out in the year... Okay, no, I didn't put Pokemon. I just put Black and White 2010. So 15 years.
Okay.
And then people got the... They said basically what it was, and it's something you and I didn't talk about. It's the age of people, right? Nostalgia of now that they're adults, now that they're like... We're talking like if they were 10, now they're 25, and so they played Black and White 2.
This could be closer to a... Like, think of Star Wars, for example. People dunked on the Star Wars prequels left and right, because there's all the old heads talking about it. And now that the people who grew up with the Star Wars prequels are of buying power and are in their 20s, 30s, and even 40s, people are liking it again, and it's coming back popular, and people are talking about it more, and it's being appreciated more since it's nostalgic for us. So I think you are correct. I think there's a good chance we will have... It's not going to be Eevee level hype, but it'll be hype for this set.
Is it out in Japan?
I would think so. That's the only reason why we would have those.
So we have it in a month for us.
Let's see. Go back here to
Black Bolt and the Japanese the Zekrom. Man, I don't even know if they have the big. Is this the big? It is. It's 340 in Japanese. So the one, I think the art is way better. But I'm just looking on TCG Player because they added all the Japanese sets as well.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's a big thing for stores for close to 400 as well. Ooh, Keldeo and Hydreigon. But yeah, you're right. Like the fall off after the Zekrom, the Reshiram are big.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a fun set for people to collect. It'll be a bunch of cool cards out there. And it's one of those where it's not like, since there's not really like that super big hit, you're not going to have that also, that like that FOMO feeling of, oh, I just got the Oshawott, for example, or I just got Duwat. I think you'll have fun collecting the different ones, and you're just happy with whatever you get. Unless Gen 5 is your gen.
I would love if they did the first two are in Black Bolt, and then like the third evolution is in the other set. Imagine if they did that, like if they did Oshawott and Duwat in one, and then they flip-flopped it with like some of the other starters. That'd be a marketing ploy.
All right. That, or, you know, like how with the regular video games, they would have regional exclusives, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Pocket does it. Pocket does this.
All right, so Lane, you've got Collecticon coming up.
Gosh, it's sucking preparing for this thing.
So, you know, it's coming up here in a couple days, and you're traveling to it. It's not in your hometown. It's your home state, but not your hometown.
5.5 hours.
Oh, that's brutal. So what are you guys doing there? What is your goal? What are you selling? Are you selling singles? Are you selling sealed product? Are you doing graded cards? Are you trying to buy inventory?
Man.
What is your guys' plan for going to Collecticon as a vendor?
There's so many layers that you have no idea how awesome this question is. Because for us, when our owner went to one in Chicago just to like see if we could do well, like what it like feel the water, dip a toe in, and when he went, one also I think he just wanted to go and he used business expense as an excuse, whatever. Just say you want to go. Because he does that to Gen Con Origins, but that makes more sense for us. The big thing was there's not a lot of physical brick and mortar stores, and that was our realization. So one thing that has really happened the last year, and you and I joke about this all the time, is when we see these videos, people are like, "Man, you have it at I'll pay you 90% cash, but maybe 99%." And like those are videos. And we were like, man, how can people do this? Well, because they don't have brick and mortars and they have to raise their rates to restock their stuff. So that answers one question for us is we're probably not going to be buying because at the rate that we usually do, even if we go up, I've seen the interviews these guys do and they ask them like, if you're a brick and mortar, what would you change? They're like, oh, I couldn't do 85. I would have to do like 70. And they're like, yeah, because when you're giving that game space, when you're adding that extra stuff, I'm guessing, we talked about this in a meeting the other day, I'm going to have more luck buying from vendors if I'm spending $10,000 than from buying from a customer. So I'm guessing that was the main. For our singles, I have 3 tables set up. I'm doing a Magic table, a One Piece table, and a Pokemon table. Magic is by far like our biggest singles-wise, but if you're not under a rock, Magic just had a Final Fantasy set come out. And 2 weeks ago, the collector boxes were $500, $550. Now they're going for $1,400.
Oh my.
And I have a couple cases of those that I put back for Collecticon. I have a couple dozens that I'm like, man, I really want to take something cool to Collecticon. These will sell out. And I didn't expect the price to be
that insane.
That much. So yeah, and same with like prismatic, some of the different stuff. We've opened our vault that we've never done. Like, so I told you we have evolutions. I have a case of evolutions that I'm taking.
Oh.
That last time I checked, that's like 11 grand.
Oh my.
So because this is where, with me saying this, these are ones that these vendors can't get as much, right? Yeah. Like where this is through distro. Like they call us and they're like, hey, do you want to buy this? And it's harder for these non-brick and mortars now to get set up. So for us, we'll be a more sealed product base, I believe, especially for Pokemon. I can't keep in any singles, graded or not. We almost didn't. We had to stop sending in cards to get graded because we would almost just be emptied of singles, of big case singles. So Magic will do very well with case singles and then those Final Fantasy boxes. One Piece will do well with both. But Pokemon, because the singles are just so in high demand, but the sealed product I'm bringing are pretty good. But here's the problem with taking singles, Justin. This is what we have meetings about. Yes. When do you price them?
It sucks.
So I leave the Friday, the 27th of June for the show. I will be pricing them the 24th. Sorry, 26. I'll be pricing them one day.
That's yesterday.
You're like, you're doing it right. Yeah. So what you do is the week of the con, you kind of have all your sealed product, everything ready, because you can kind of look those up on the way. There are times where we price them on the way to the show. That not because of procrastinating.
Yeah, it's just that volatile.
For price accuracy. Yes, absolutely. So what you do is Monday, Tuesday, you get all your singles together. You don't price them yet, but you make your piles. So I have my piles of everything that I had ready for the convention. And then tomorrow will be a 12-hour shift of all I'm doing is stickering cards. And then some of the bigger cards may be only priced on the way. Or, you know what I mean?
So are you like pre-making any of these price stickers? Or are you going to like, all right.
Great question.
Yeah.
So what I've done in the past is for case cards, right, you usually have them in top loaders. You usually have them in different things.
Mm-hmm.
I reuse that price top loader.
Mm,
So from
I
last
see.
shows, when I get back to the store the weekend
So
of.
you're selling them the card. You take it out of that top loader and just give them the card. What do you do?
So what we do, and this is another crazy thing, there's a store here that no matter what card you buy, you get a top loader.
Mm-hmm.
You buy 20 commons, you get 20 top loaders.
Jeez.
So our used top loaders right now, this is not exaggeration, I have about 4,000 used top loaders that have other price stickers on it from this store, other things. So I just give them one of those. You know what I mean? Like I'll give them, I have team bags, I have everything. I believe semi-rigids are of the devil. I really hate them. They don't protect the card in almost any, like there's so many negatives about them.
Semi-rigids are pretty much only if you're submitting to grade.
Yeah. That was the big part of it. But we've had to 3D printed stuff for our cases so we can add more cards standing up instead of laying down flat in a case.
Nice.
So we've had to 3D print stuff for our card stands. But yeah, like Pokemon, our sealed product. I'm gonna throw a number out here. This is usually non-kosher, but since I'm not telling you what sealed product we're taking, I bet you we gross 100K on Pokemon sealed product.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I'm betting that we're gonna gross 100K.
I believe it, just based off of. You have to remember, I went to the original Collecticon, and then because hashtag Texas, and then I've been to several of them since then, and they just are more and more insane every time. Now you're further from the mothership, but it'll still be crazy. People,
if we put them at market price, or we even said by day 2, if I do 10% under market, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a big Magic show. Well, I'll bring up just Final Fantasy one last time. They were on TCG Player for $1,200. The lowest vendor was 13. Some had boxes all the way up to 1,600. And we said if we market 10% under market, a vendor may just buy it all.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
Yeah, that's what we say. That's the hope. That's the dream of being in one of those videos, or like, hey, how much for the table? And I just can go home a day early. Or like I get to hang around the show because I want to see Jason Page. I want to see these people.
Yeah, I wonder if any like the big PokeTubers will be there.
They are the card ripper guys. There's a bunch.
Like
Gary that we have. He's a guest. So
oh, interesting. He was a guest at the first one, but that was like 2021.
So what they're doing is why they told us like, and I've told you this is 10% the cost of what it usually takes us to do like comic book conventions. So this is our first super big local hotel show, but where we have sealed product just because of being a brick and mortar, we think we're going to do extremely well.
Well, I am excited to hear how this goes, and we'll have to have you back on to talk about it.
And I was going to say, that's why I told you next week will be fun. I get to meet some people. What's his name? Sean Astin, whatever, from Lord of the Rings. I got some stuff for him to sign.
Oh, nice. Is he going to be at the show?
At the show.
Wow, man, they've really stepped up the Collecticon game.
I think probably if he lives on the East Coast, but there's some Magic Samwise cards I would love to get signed.
Yeah.
There's a Megan Thee Stallion album. I may get the guy from JJK to sign because he does a voice in that. But there a lot of anime, a lot of big stuff there. I do think some of our anime stuff, because some of our games that may not sell well locally, since the voice actor's there, that we may sell better because of the voice actor being there. It's a big deal. See, you've went to one. I've never even been to one. So the first one I'm going to. All right, do you have 5 more minutes that I can rant about one thing?
Do whatever you want.
So why I'm ranting is they have the weirdest rules I've ever seen for a convention I've ever worked. I've been doing this now over 5 years. This is something that I've done. I'm the guy at the store that runs and does cons. I pack the car up. I go. I love doing it. I get to play Go in new cities. Every time I go connect with community ambassadors. I plan on maybe surprising the community ambassador that I know in Cleveland for this show, and because the show ends at 6 and GoFest is GoFest till 6 or 8. Crap. Maybe I skip out a little early, but basically what it is they have so many weird rules that if you are late to the show, they can penalize you by cost or kick you out of the show.
Oh.
Like, yeah. Also, I can't set up, and this is whatever. This is their rule. This is something I've never heard of. If I don't set up during their setup times for the night before, I'm not allowed to set up early the day of. You're not allowed. And they said if your booth looks empty, they can replace you and then you're gone. So they refund you out.
This year I was out of town. That was in Dallas. But man, the lines for this thing are absolutely insane. Like hundreds and thousands of people waiting in line just for when the thing opens. It's absolutely
They want your people to be
crazy.
ready when the doors open. Right?
Yes, they want you to be ready, not setting up crap.
So my problem with that is, and usually because where I do comic shows, those guys, like, we get there 4 hours before the show opens. You don't want to leave your stuff overnight. That's a big thing. And for this, they're like kind of like, no, you have to. And I've seen the videos of people like robbing Collecticons and stuff.
Well, so are they saying, I guess it's just like, you know, set
if
up.
it looks like we're setting up, yes. That's what, like, yeah. See, the singles I said I can sneak in, not sneak in, but like put in a backpack, right? Like,
Yeah.
The cases is kind of what the sealed product is kind of, they want you to look like you're ready to go. And they have armed guards, they have this, but every show I ever go to, even the night, like if it's a 3 or 4 day show, you're still taking everything big. I take all my card cases out, you know what I mean? I take everything out and then to bring in the next morning. But they are against it. So we'll see. Okay. To unload in the docking area, I have to pay a fee. That if I want to unload not with the fee, I got to go through the main hall and trek up, I'm guessing, like Mount Doom level stuff. So, yeah, like they're like, if you want the express fee, but it is super dirt cheap to be a vendor. So I kind of understand all these like little other stuff. So we'll definitely hear more about it next week after the realization of Collecticon.
Remember to use full heal at tgacards.com for 10% off your order. Voicemail, text, or photos to 732-835-8639. Lane, anything else you want to shout out?
Sure don't. I'll do more next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.